morning. It's a beautiful morning here. We are at Palm City Yachts dropping off the LTB for twin Suzuki 200s. And yeah, super excited to get the motors on. It's gonna be awesome to have twins and have the redundancy of that. So these guys have always treated us very well. We repowered another boat before and we had a great experience. So we know that it's gonna be installed right, it's gonna be done right, and you know, it's good to be back. So I just got a phone call from Palm City Yachts and the boat is done. It only took them 2 days to get the motors installed, and we are ready to do a sea trial. I just want to give a shout out to Palm City Yachts for their super quick installation and great customer service. They've been great to us. This is the second time that we have used them. We repowered for them before, and all great experiences. So thank you guys, appreciate it. So we're gonna get started with the wiring today, and we got all these pre-wire harnesses from Boat Outfitters, and we label each one of them and each wire coming out of all of them, so we know exactly where we're gonna put them and separate them all, so we have everything nice and neat inside of the console. All right guys, so we're right here at the console of the boat, and we have the switches already installed, and all we're gonna do is plug the harnesses in the back and start tracing each wire out to where they need to be. So we have this fuse panel right here from Boat Outfitters. I'm going to show you guys that in a second, and that's going to really simplify putting all these wires together, and it's going to make it a super clean installation, which is exactly what we're looking for on this build. So we're starting the wire harness for the switches installation, and as you can see here, they come with everything you need and pretty long tails. I forgot exactly how much it is, how long it is, but they are pretty well put together. So one thing that I recommend, that if you want to keep a very clean installation and not a rat's nest here, that you can do is split your wires. So I know that my ground and my output is going to go towards here, so I put both of them together. These are going to be my inputs that are going to be wired into here, and these are going to be my backlights that are going to go into my backlight bus bar up here. So doing this with every switch is going to help tremendously. The biggest thing is you have to have each one of them labeled. It's really important, because once you do this, it's going to be very difficult to figure out what is what. And I also put a label on the back of each switch. Again, labels are really good if you ever have to fix anything on the boat or you have to add anything on. It's so much easier. Even on the ground side, it's really important, because a lot of times in a 12-volt system, the issues you're going to have is going to be a bad ground. All right, so we got all the wires somewhat separated. The black and the red are going one way, the oranges are going down, the blue ones are going up. So in order to start making this a super neat installation, rather than leaving it like this, which is a mess, grab one end, pull it somewhat tight, and you can start to see the shape right there. No, it's not super tight, so we're gonna put one zip tie right here, hold them up, you see that right there, and now we're gonna do the same thing with this other wires going out, but we're gonna include the blue ones too. So we're gonna put a zip tie on every single one of these right here, and you can see how that looks nice and neat, and it actually kind of looks like a wire harness rather than a rat's nest. So now we repeat the same process with the top that we did with the bottom row, and you can see everything looks super clean. All right, so you're gonna have all of your wires labeled with this blue tape that is temporary. And like I told you guys earlier, I ran all of my wires coming in for my input into the switches. So I'm gonna rip this label off. I'm not gonna let this wire go because you don't wanna get them mixed up. And then I'm gonna put one of these heat shrink wrap labels right here. Then we're going to strip the wire. You're going to put your female spade connector in there, crimp it with your crimping tool, and then you're going to put your heat shrink label in there and take a heat gun. And then we can just plug it into the back of the breaker. And then we're gonna do the same thing that we did earlier with these. We're gonna zip tie them all neatly together, so you're gonna have a wire harness per row. Alright guys, so now we are starting to wire everything that's coming from the switches to our terminal block right here. And then all of our negatives, ground wires, are on this side. So I'm coming in for the stuff from the switches from the top. Like I'm running that line right here and then going down. And then with the wires coming from the appliances, like for example, the pumps from the ring tube down below, they're gonna come up and do the same thing. Like just kind of arch out into both of these. Right now we're trying to figure out the navigation lights for the boat, and we're told from our LTB to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna go in the 5th hole for the screws that had the rub rail. So we popped that out, and we're gonna have to do a little cutout for the navigation lights to be on the rub rail. That is the plan. So we're gonna make this hole, this hole even bigger, and they're gonna be recessed in. What we don't want is for them to be sticking out and catch fishing line. All right, so we're putting the section that we cut out back in now, and we just basically cut a small section off so the navigation lights will fit in there, and then we got to drill a hole through the boat for the light itself. So right now we're putting a little longer tails on these, so it's a little bit easier to wire them or replace them later inside of that inside of the anchor compartment. So LTVs have a wire pipe that goes underneath right here, and it goes beside the kill box, beside that compartment, so you have access in that compartment, and then over to that side hatch. And we put a pipe in there through the inside of the console, so that's how we ran all the wires right through here. So it's coming out right here. And these tackle lights are right there. And we put some wire protection, and I'm planning on putting a couple more of these things to just hold this so it doesn't get caught with the anchor. But yeah, pretty clean installation. So right there you can see what the lights look like. They're nice and recessed. And one thing that you really want to make sure is that you don't have any sharp edges where that fishing line can get caught. Right here. So So it's time to finally sort through all this wiring mess that we have in the bilge for all the pumps. We have several pumps. We have 2 live wells, 2 bilge pumps, 1 macerator pump, and 1 washdown pump. So lots of wires back here. And we're gonna do something very similar to what we did in the console of the boat, which is putting a terminal block. That way, if we have to replace one of these, because as you know, they go bad pretty quickly. All you gotta do is disconnect it from the terminal block and put a new connector in and put the pump back in, and that's it. So for future repairs, it makes it very, very easy. Everything's gonna be labeled again, heat, shrink wrap, the whole 9 yards. All right, so we're slowly starting to get all this cleaned up. I know there's a bunch of wires on the floor right now. That's just like clippings, but we need to wire the stereo. It's a fusion stereo. So we have this wire harness that comes in, and these are for a subwoofer. I am gonna put them on so I don't lose it and just kind of zip tie it there, so they'll be hanging in case I ever decide to do that. But on here, really what we're looking for is speaker wires, power in and out, and that's about it. I'm putting butt connectors in these. I avoided putting butt connectors in as much as possible, but the wires are obviously way too short from the radio. So I connected the ignition and the power on to my power. I don't necessarily need it to go on when I turn the ignition on. But if you choose to do that, you will have to wire this slightly different and use that ignition wire. Just gotta clean up here a little bit and make sure everything is nice and tight, but it looks really good. Next, we're going to install a transducer. It's going to be the Airmar TM265. It's going to be transom mounted, and we chose this transducer because it's pretty powerful. And if we ever need it for like sword fishing or anything like that, when we're out in deep water, it's going to perform well. It's a little more expensive than you know, a normal transducer that you can get for your Simrad, but I think this is going to be worth it. Definitely a worth the price. So. So we are pretty much wrapped up with the electrical off the boat. I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out so far. The only thing that we need to do is install our backlights in this bus bar right here. But that's not a priority right now, so we're gonna keep going with this build. So right here we have this fuse panel that we got from Boat Outfitters, and this made the wiring very easy. It has all the fuses for everything and the battery switches. Everything is inside of the cabinet here, including our bus bar. Another thing that made it super easy is the Blue Seas switches right there. They come with a wire harness that you are able to throw into here and then to your grounds and terminal block over there. So everything is nice and neat and organized. Honestly, I think this is the way to go. If I ever have to do a boat again, this is exactly what I will do, because everything is organized and just well put together. And that is a wrap for the wiring of the boat. And on the next episode, we're going to show you all the storage solutions that we chose for this LTB 25. See you guys then.